Okay, so we started this unit just getting familiar with how to use isometric dot paper to draw three-dimensional solids made up of cubes. Okay? Obviously, not everything in real life is made up of cubes. There's curves and things like that, but this sort of gives you an idea and it's easier to work with. So we use isometric dot paper to represent three dimensions. We use the square dot paper to represent two dimensions. So on your front page of 5.2, this is what square dot paper looks like. Okay, we can't draw in three dimensions here. We can only draw in two dimensions. So if I wanted to draw a cube on this, don't copy this down. If I wanted to draw a cube on this, I would just draw a square. And then that would be, you know, am I looking at it from the front? Am I looking at it from the side? Am I looking at it from the top? Well, we have to draw three different views. Okay, so we're going to talk first about how do we go from a three-dimensional figure to drawing it in two dimensions, looking at it three different ways. And the three different ways we're going to look at it are from the front, from the top, and from the sides, but we're going to use the right side. So if you're given a three-dimensional figure and you're asked to represent it using two dimensions on square paper, you got to draw three different views. Now notice in in this whole lesson, a single cube is represented by blue. Two cubes together, side by side, is represented by red. Three cubes together is green. Four cubes together is white, which is not on this one. And five cubes together is yellow. I've put that above at the top here. Just keep that in mind, and because it's good to know, especially when we go the other way. So how do I draw the three different views? Well, going from three dimensions to two dimensions, it's fairly straightforward. If I'm, what's that? Yes. If I'm looking from the top, okay? In the upper left-hand corner, there's a blue, right? If I'm looking from the top. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a blue. So I'm going to start there. So this is a blue one. Is there anything to the right of it? Looking from the top. Green. There's nothing more to the right. What about going down? Wouldn't there be a red here looking from the top and then three yellows? But then beside that, there's three greens starting from top to bottom. So there's three greens here. So that would be the top view. What does it look like from the front? Well, from the front, if we look on the left side, we've got a yellow on the bottom, then a red, then a blue. So I've got a length of three, yellow, red, blue. Yellow, red, blue. And then beside it, I've got green. But where do we put the green? Yellow, red, blue. Oh, sorry, the green's here. Not here. That's why that looked weird. Because the green's beside the yellow. And finally, from the side, or the right side. So if we look at the side, this way, on the bottom, I've got yellow, yellow, green, green, green. And then on top of that, I've got red, red, and on top of one of the reds, I've got blue. So from the side, the right side, I've got blue up top. And then below the blue is a red. And to the right, left of that red is another red. And below the blue and red is a green. And another green to the left of that, and another green to the left of that. Is there anything else? Looking from the right, 2 yellows. So we just showed this 3-dimensional figure using 2 dimensions. We don't have to draw all 6 views. These are the 3 common views we draw in 2 dimensions. It's generally pretty straightforward. Going the other way is, I think, a little bit more challenging. Like I said before, I know it is for me. Okay? But we've got some ways to maybe get around that, or to help you. See if you can do the next one. The next one is a 3-dimensional shape, and you're asked to convert it to 2 dimensions, top, front, side views. See if you can do those ones. I would suggest you start your top view right on the far left of the graph paper because it spreads out a little bit, this one. And it doesn't matter which order you do the 3 views. I always do top, front, side. But if you want to do front first, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So see if you can sketch them. Just to pick this up, we've already done the top view. So from the front, I've got 4 whites. And then beside that, I have a blue on the bottom. And then I have 2 greens. That's what I could see if I looked from the front. And then from the side, well, the side, I got to make sure I have 6 here. How many is that? 1. Yeah. So I have 4 whites on the left. And then looking at it, I've got a yellow on the bottom beside the white. Then I've got a blue. Then I've got a green. And then I've got 2 yellows again. So that's what it should look like, those views there. Now, the other way. What if you were given these 3 and you had to construct a 3-dimensional view? Like so. Remember, One is blue. Blue is 1 cube long. Red is 2. Green is 3. White is 4. And yellow is 5. Okay. This may be hard to do right from here. So what I've got are blocks, except the colors don't quite match. Remember I said the yellow is 5 long, yellow is 5 long. We're good there. The ones that are 4 cubes long are the whites there, but sorry, I only have pink, but I put W's on all of them. The greens match up. The greens are 3 cubes long, 3 cubes long. The reds match up, 2 cubes long, 2 cubes long. The blues, which are 1 cube long, don't match up. They're white, but I put B's on all of them for blue. So this is actually blue. This is actually white. And these ones are the same. So if you want, you can use those to help you construct it. Like here, looking at this, I know there's a white in there, so I need one of these. The whites, the 4 cubes long. I need one of those. There's a red in there, so I need one of the 2 cube long reds. There's a green in there, so I need one of the 3 cube long greens. There's a blue in there, so I need one of these. And so at least those. Okay? Can you build it? Or can you do it right from here? It's a little bit hard to do from, or at least I find it hard to do from here. Okay? Like the way that I would try and tackle this if I wasn't using cubes is I'd say, okay, I've got a white strip on the bottom, right? Because from the side, there's a white on the bottom. From the top, there's a white. And from the front, there's a white. So I've got a white kind of sticking out like this. So I could start by drawing some of the whites to say, okay, here's a white right at the front. There's another white behind it. There's another white behind that. There's another white behind that because the whites are 4 units long. But if you look at the front, at the top view, it's hidden by the blue. If you look from the top, the white is only 3 units long, but it has to be 4. That means the blue must be sitting on top of this white here. So that means on top here, there must be a blue. And then there's a white here. So I've drawn the white figure. And I've drawn the blue one. On the left side, there's a red, isn't there? And where's the red? Well, the red, if you look at the front, there's 2 reds stacked on top like this here. But if you look at the top view, it's beside the blue. So here would be a red. And here would be another red. Sorry, not there. Ignore that. Here would be another red. That still matches up. But we've got some stuff back here. Because notice the front, notice the top view, it's got two reds. So there's got to be a red here. Which means this one here is a red. And there's another one below this one that we can't see. We can't see it. Why? Because the green is in the way. We can see it. We can see this one from the top. We can see these two. But there's a fourth red one here that's at the back corner that we can't see. Now we got to put the three greens in. The greens come out this way. But how many greens come out? Well, if these are greens, this all match, the front view all matches up. The top view, I'm looking at two reds, then a green, a blue, so there must be a green down here. So from the top view, I'm looking at two reds, a green, a blue, three whites, and then two greens there. And from the side, I'm looking at four whites, a green, a red, and a blue, so I've got my figure. It's pretty, it can be pretty complex. Don't hesitate to use blocks, because I got a lesson over lunch because I hesitated to use blocks because I was too stubborn. And Alex came in and showed me how to do it like that. So now I'm like, well, that's easier to do. Like, just build it using the blocks and then sketch it. But if you guys can do it from here like this, go for it. Absolutely. But what I would do if if this is going to be on the exam, and I haven't decided what's going to be on the exam, what's not yet, I would give you guys access to blocks if you wanted to for the exam. Anyway, so that's this one. Here's the next one. So when I look at this one, and if I wanted to use blocks, well, I've got a white, a 4 cube long. Remember, this is white, pink is white. I've got two reds here. I see two reds. I see two greens because there's, if you look from the front, top, and side view, there's two greens. And at least a blue. So it looks like it's going to have this. So if I use blocks, this time I'm just going to show you how I would use a block, or how I would use blocks. So the white, I can see one from the front, one from the top, and one from the side. Doesn't that suggest that it's stacked like this? Because if it's like this, I would be able to see more than one of the whites, wouldn't I? So it must be stacked like that. It must be vertical. Because look, if you look at it here, like let's say we're looking at it this way. If I look from the front, I can see the top one here. If I look from the top, I can see one. And if I look from there, I see one. So there's going to be things in the way here. What's going to be in the way? Looks like greens. Like that. Look at the top view. It seems to match up, doesn't it? If I look from the top, I've got white, green, green. And then doesn't it go also red? Like that? That's matching the top view. And then there's a blue one here at the bottom. So that's what the figure would look like if I used blocks. So then all you would have to do is sketch this by looking at the figure here. Okay. Okay, so if we sketch it, if we look at that, we've got a white on top. And then the whites go down like this, but we can't see the ones at the back. If you look at that figure that I constructed, we can't see the one, we can only see the one white up top. Why? Because it's covered with greens to the sides. And then the greens have reds in front of them. So actually, there's a red here and a red here. But the reds are 2 cubes long. So I have to draw another red here. That's another red. And I have to draw another red here. But I'm missing something in here. Well, the blue goes right at the bottom. This is the blue one. And then there's nothing in front here, so that's what it would look like. I would just put one segment in and connect it. How are you guys doing with this? You're okay? Like you can see it? You can see it? Good. If you're having trouble seeing it, don't be afraid to use the blocks. Okay? Yeah, for some of you, you can just look at the paper and figure it out. And I admire you for being able to do that, because I have a heck of a time with that. Sometimes they're easy for me. Other times I just have to know I got to build it with blocks and then figure it out from there. Okay. Okay. This is, well, I would consider this probably the most challenging part of Unit 5, is going from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. After this, we're going to talk about another way that we can do 3-dimensional drawings using a 1-point perspective or a vanishing point. And then we're going to talk about exploded views of objects. And that's sort of everything that we're going to cover in the design modeling unit.